Welcome back to the Social Selling Podcast. Now, look, we're here. This is the Social Selling Podcast. So I had to get the best person I know in this space when it comes to social selling. Most of you will definitely know him for his incredible algorithm reports. And look, we were talking about this previously. There is the LinkedIn training space and there is the social selling space. And there is a big difference that not a lot of people realize. But Richard van der Blom is one of the best people in the social selling space, someone I respect massively. We did a huge audio room not that long ago, and it was just phenomenal. So I am super excited to have him on the show today. Richard, thank you so much for joining us.
Wow, Daniel, that's an amazing introduction. Thank you very much. And from my perspective, when I refer to people that are really on top of the social selling space, I also always refer to you. You sent me your book. It's amazing. The content IDs, all your materials are amazing. So I'm really, really very happy to be here and to have this amazing discussion with you on social selling and, of course, the algorithm.
Thank you. And look, everyone knows the LinkedIn training space is a noisy space, and there are new LinkedIn and social selling trainers popping up everywhere. Some of them absolutely fantastic, but genuinely, it's not always easy to find the best people out there. And you are at top of the list for me. And I love that we are working together because in essence, in some ways, we could be seen as competitors. We're both LinkedIn social selling trainers, but I've never really liked to be sort of negative in that light. I feel like there's so much more we can do together. We both have the same mission. We just want to help people leverage LinkedIn and Sales Navigator for social selling success. And actually, when we do chat, it is just like two social selling nerds just going nuts about LinkedIn. So I think that's what this episode's going to be.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think if you provide value for your clients, there are no competitors. There's only people who create value, who bring clients to the next stage. And if we all would do that, more and more companies would actually hire us because they see the benefits of it. I think it's the people that, without wanting to talk negative, but it's the people that think they are teaching social selling, which basically they are teaching LinkedIn outreach or LinkedIn cold calling outreach, that gives social selling a different name. And probably companies will not see the same results. And that's where things can become a bit more complicated. But like you said, I don't believe in any competitors. I mean, I'm connected with a lot of LinkedIn experts, a lot of social selling experts. Basically, they keep me sharp. I see what they're doing. I see their content. Some of the content I really like, and I go, wow, this is great. I also engage. And I know that when I engage, I give them more visibility, which is completely fine because I think good content should actually be seen by more eyes of a target audience. And those who, in my opinion, are not doing a very good job, I just don't engage. They're there, and I think that's in all industries now. So
it is, and I think audiences are becoming a lot more savvy to it. I think you can probably fool a LinkedIn audience for a short period of time with some snazzy content, some bold statements, but it becomes very visible quite quickly that there is no real context to it. And anyone could come onto LinkedIn and say, "I closed $303,000 last month with this strategy. Steal my playbook." And you can say anything you like, but unless you can back that up and do it consistently and provide real context to how it works, it falls apart. And audiences are becoming a lot more savvy to it. And I think we're going to park that. Let's come back to the whole social selling, LinkedIn training, and the differences. But let's dive straight into the algorithm, because I think you sort of really hammered this in a few years ago, and you've really provided value with your algorithm reports. Everyone is daunted by, scared of, confused of the LinkedIn algorithm. And you did what not many people do on LinkedIn, where most people tend to just come with opinions. You actually got data. You went and did research, and extensive research, to see what are the numbers actually telling us about how the LinkedIn algorithm is working. And so I guess what would be great to understand, first of all, for our listeners, what is the LinkedIn algorithm?
Yeah, and just to come back on that, just like all others, I had opinions when I started. I had opinions about the algorithm, and then I started to share my opinions, basically the things I experienced myself, with some of our clients, some of our corporate clients, and then they were like, "Okay, but can you back that up with stats? I mean, is this fact based?" And that was actually the moment that I realized, like, I did a bit of a research, and there was no independent research in the algorithm. There were people saying like this works or this doesn't work, but there was no in-depth algorithm research.
Yeah.
So I contacted some people at LinkedIn, and they said there's no such thing. There's an algorithm, but we don't share. And then I thought, okay, let's see if we can like research it ourselves. And one thing, and we did it the first thing in 2019. You mentioned several years. So 2019 was the first algorithm report. February this year was our latest version, which we went from a 9-page report to a 128-page report. I mean, it's
Wow.
complete madness. And still, some of my posts don't fly. Okay, so just to make sure that you can understand the algorithm, that is by no means an assurance that your next post will fly. I mean, some of my posts don't fly, and I don't have a clue why they don't fly. For me, the algorithm, it's I always compare it to a board game. Like you can play a board game, but if you don't know the rules, you will never win a board game. So for me, if you don't care about the algorithm, like if you say like it's non-existing, I don't care, I write for my audience, which I think is a good thing, but I don't want to know anything about the algorithm, for sure you get less results and you get less success with your content than if you know just the little tweaks that everybody needs to know. Because my mantra is write for a human audience, but optimize for the algorithm. That's very important.
I like that.
Yeah. So and it's indeed, some people say it changes a lot. If you see the last 18 months, it has never changed that much before than the last 18 months. A lot of tweaks, because what people need to understand, every time LinkedIn releases new functionality, new features, they need to change the algorithm to make room. I mean, a lot of people are now talking about the upcoming video feed. And that means that LinkedIn is now going to boost video. So that room in our feed needs to come from some other posts that are now seeing less results. So that's basically what happens.
A really good explanation. I love the board game analogy. I think it's a great way to look at it. Now, I'm gonna throw in a really controversial question and opinion, but I feel like we're in safe company, and I'm sure the audience is going to be receptive to this. But is there a part of LinkedIn where you can, and interesting to know your thoughts on this, essentially sell your soul and play the algorithm game? I don't want to say by cheating, because I mean, maybe it is cheating, where you can get good, big numbers, big results, but is it really going to lead to, I don't want to say, not just a moral victory, but a victory all round? And I'm gonna do something I don't usually do, but I'm gonna throw the Justin Welsh name out there. Look, I very much respect what he's done and built, but if we really break down his content strategy, it is very much repetitive. He is playing the game and perhaps selling his soul in the sort of tweet style quote format on a very consistent, repetitive basis. Now, we can't deny the results. We can't deny the numbers. What that converts to and how applicable that might be to most social sellers is different. But what are your thoughts on that, Richard?
Well, I think you just opened the box of Pandora. So that's it. So here we go. Okay, so here we go. So let me give you a story to start with that happened real time. So I had a discussion with a guy, I mean, talking hundreds of thousands followers on LinkedIn. And he's in digital marketing, email marketing, and he writes a sponsored post on LinkedIn. Okay, he doesn't mention it, but you can definitely, if you follow the guy, you can definitely see that some of the posts are sponsored because he mentions the product or the service. Okay, no problem. He also uses engagement bots. Okay, so for me, that is manipulation. So engagement bots for our listeners means that you join a club and people auto engage, not having seen your content. It's just a bot. Okay.
Yeah.
So I dove in and I said, like, listen, guy, you really need to stop because it's a breach of reputation. You can harm your. And he went, okay, Richard, I understand what you're saying, but now let me explain to you what happens. He says, I get paid a fixed fee per post. In addition, I get a commission for every 10,000 views I get. So the more views I get, the more I get paid. And he said, let me show you the results of my post when I'm not using an engagement bot. And he was like on average between 60, 80,000 views. And then he said, now let me give you the results when I'm using this engagement bot. And he went to 400,000 views on average. So he says, I create 2 posts a week. With an engagement bot, I earn $7,000 a week more than without. Now you tell me, wouldn't you use an engagement bot? And I just went like, boof, I went blank. I went like, okay, let's do the numbers. That's like $30,000 a month extra. And so he was literally saying like, the hell with my reputation. I get serious money if I do it. Now, to go back, there are a few ways, I think, how you can still get very decent numbers when it comes to views and engagement. So the first time is, and this is very boring, is create kick-ass, relevant, insightful content, because that still tops the feed. The more people that go like, wow. I shared a checklist about the algorithm. It was actually a repurpose, and it went to 300,000 views, which in this moment for me is a lot.
Yeah.
I average now like 40, 50,000 each post. It was 80,000 last year before the latest algorithm tweak. So I still got like 8 times more than average when I really shared a very insightful piece. So that's the first thing. Second, and I need to explain this very well, because let me state this again. I'm against manipulation. I'm against automated bots. Okay. I have never joined a bot in my life because
same.
I don't think it's the right way. Although I know a lot of LinkedIn influencers, even top voices, are making use of these systems now. There is another way, and that is what I call manual engagement groups. Okay, so I know some people that say, I'm not using a bot, but we have this group of 12 influencers, and we send each other the links in WhatsApp, and we say, hey, if you like my latest post, feel free to leave a comment. And first, for me, that was like, that's the same as a bot, it's not automated, it's the same. But then, like, people really said, no, it's our response to LinkedIn downsizing the reach of our content while we know our content is very insightful and relevant. And if I look for myself, Daniel, I think that 90% of my posts are very insightful, very relevant for my audience.
Definitely.
And I am now at 35% of my reach compared to last year. So that's 1/3. So I miss out. Again, I'm also not a member of this, like what they call like engagement help group, but I do understand that people are looking like, how can we like support each other as a response to the latest algorithm tweak. So there are a few ways. Like you have the fully automated, not my way. You have the manual small engagement groups where I go like, hey, yeah, if you really like the content and you give an insightful comment, why not? And then you have just like focus on being relevant, being insightful, add value with every post you make. And also, do not forget, it's not about reach, is it, Daniel? It's not about reach. It's about conversion in the end. It's about like making people to buy from you because you're the guy to buy from.
Yeah. I really love your insights. And I have to admit, I probably know a lot of the people you're referring to in this. We won't mention any more names. I know I've thrown Justin Welsh's name in there. Like I said, I have massive respect for what he's achieved and what he's built. But in all fairness,
amazing.
What he's built is very good for selling LinkedIn training, and there is that pattern. So how applicable that is to the wide majority is
and his target audience. His target audience are entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, like small, that's different, I think, than from our audience, basically.
Yeah. What's been very interesting recently, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've seen in a lot of his content specifically, and I'm starting to see it on other influencers' posts as well. There are other thought leaders, perhaps I want to say different credibility level, so authors in other industries that maybe aren't influencers on LinkedIn, but they're influencers in their own right, are starting to almost bite back on some of these posts where they might be quite generic or sometimes quite bold statements. Some of them are biting back and saying, actually, this maybe isn't as correct as you're suggesting, or maybe this isn't applicable. And it's very interesting to see the influencer space getting challenged by perhaps the business expert space, where they're getting called out for some of the big statements they have. But I think you're absolutely right. There are these pods, and it's very interesting, this whole manual engagement, because essentially it's more community engagement where there's no expectation, because for a lot of pods, people are paying to be in these, like people are charging and paying to be in them, which you're absolutely right is essentially very, very artificial. Whereas these sort of communities where it is just peers that are supporting each other, then you are right. Is that as bad? I would probably agree with you. It's not, but we have to remember when you've just got the same people always liking and engaging, you're not necessarily growing. And as a social seller, you want to reach new people, new audiences, which is why there's so much more to a social selling strategy. But actually, as you say, in a challenging algorithm time, collaborating with peers and colleagues and supporting each other is an effective strategy.
But and I totally agree on that. Another funny thing I witnessed is that every 3 months, 4 months, maybe 5 months, we have different content trends, and people jump massively on the content trend, and then the community responds to it. Like, okay, we've seen it, stop doing it. So to give you an example, a carousel post 1.5 years ago.
I knew that was coming.
They were hot. Whenever we said like carousel is the best format in terms of the algorithm, every single soul on LinkedIn, I'm exaggerating, but to me, like almost every post I saw was carousel. And I guarantee you 70, maybe 80% of those posts were not suitable to be a carousel. But hey, we just have a story and let's create a carousel because somebody told us it performs better. We had AI content. When AI came 2 years ago, my complete feed was like filled with ChatGPT prompts, cheat sheets. And I saw serious business people sharing checklists of ChatGPT prompts while their core business has nothing to do with ChatGPT or with artificial intelligence. They just did it because they know if I share it, I go viral. I get hundreds of thousands of views, maybe some new followers. But what type of followers do you get if you don't share the right content that has nothing to do with your core business? And lately, and I'm very happy with that, I see that, there are a lot of people trying to help other people on LinkedIn to create content in a more easy way. So you already mentioned, you get the buy this template, buy this 500 hooks, use this script. And I literally saw people using the same script from the guy who sold it. They didn't change the letter. So I've never seen so many people that started like 10 years ago, I was bankrupt. I used to be an alcoholist. Now I earn a 6-figure monthly income. And I go like, that's impossible. There are not like 300 people having exactly, but they're just using the same script. And now I see the community starting to go against these scripts. So when somebody says, steal this, people go like, why steal? You just shared it for free, Stop using this template. So I think it's good that the community at some point starts to respond to, we've seen this, it's too much, it's not authentic, it's not genuine, try to do better. And I think that's the interesting way in creating content.
And you and I would have both seen every year there is a handful of influencers that come in, they get really big, really popular, and then they disappear. By the next year, they're gone, and there's a whole new batch coming in. And it's because whilst you can create that wave and go viral, if you don't have the experience, if you don't have the results to back it up, you can't succeed on LinkedIn in this game long term. As you said, the reason the algorithm report came in was because your sort of big corporate customers were saying, okay, these opinions are great, but what? And I've had the same experience. If you can't back it up, then you can't help the bigger serious customers. And so, yes, it's easy to go viral in essence, but if you're not doing it to the right audience in the right way, it doesn't lead to anything. And if we're looking at social selling, we are a results-based strategy. You have to be getting conversions, getting customers, getting deals. So there has to be a bigger picture strategy to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And a lot of content. No, let me say, a lot of people think LinkedIn success has something to do with grow to 100,000 followers in 3 months or get like 100,000 views average. There are some influencers who literally sell very expensive guidance or courses and say, with this course, you go from 0 to 100,000 followers in 3 months. What they don't tell is that they actually tell the people, join a pod, join an engagement pod, put your content. That's the whole story. And you pay like $10,000 for that course. But then, even if you do that, my next question would be, okay, now you have 100,000 followers. Who are they? Are they your target audience? Do they have any intention to buy from you? Do they know your expertise? And how are you going to convert them? Because I guarantee you, people who grow their follower base very rapidly by using all kind of different tactics don't see the same conversion as those who have a smaller follower growth, but the follower base is more relevant and they choose to follow you manually. They see your post and go like, I need to follow Daniel. And that's also fact-based. Strong follower growth has less conversion than steady follower growth. Okay, so we need to, like, followers, are they relevant? Yes, they are, because the more followers you have, the more impact you can get in the second and third degree network.
Yeah.
But it's all about conversion. It's all about how many DMs are you getting, how many invites from your target audience are you getting, how many requests are you getting based on your LinkedIn activities and content. That's real, like the real KPI of social selling. It's not in growing your followers.
No,
it's not in getting more reach.
That strategy takes time, and that's why it is consistency and, to an extent, patience. I mean, there are lots of short-term wins you can have with social selling, but if you're looking for long-term, scalable, repeatable success on LinkedIn as a social seller, you've got to be in it for the long game. I always say, it's sort of consistency that wins the race. Take it each month. Grow your network with the right people, share content that's relevant to them, and nurture that audience. It is a long game, yes, with short wins, but there's no shortcut. There's no overnight success.
No.
And my inbox is full of, and there are a few names, I'm not going to mention them, that are saying, yeah, this person went from 0 to 100,000 followers in 3 months.
We all know them, and I agree with you. There are no shortcuts, but short wins are very important. Because I've noticed working with like thousands with salespeople B2B, if there are no short wins, they become a bit demotivated, a bit frustrated. Because if you tell them like, okay, for 1 year, publish 1 post a day, do this in your DM, and they don't see anything happening, like what you call short wins, it's very difficult to keep on track and to keep doing it. It's like telling someone, like, you need to do half an hour daily on LinkedIn, and they do it for 2 months. You check in with them and you say, hey, how many leads? And they say 0. And you go, okay, now let's do 1 hour every day instead of half an hour. And they go like, you're nuts, because half an hour is not. So, but if they can see the short wins, like the quick wins, and they do half an hour, and after 2 months you drop in and they say, how are you doing? And they say, I'm doing fine, I'm generating some leads. Let's do an hour. The majority will do an hour because they see, hey, it's working already. So the short wins for me are crucial to get the long-term commitment. That's and I'm not talking about deals in short term, but this can be like what I already said, getting more relevant invites from your target audience, getting invited to speak or to have these meetings. So you see that something is happening already, which eventually, by being consistent, and having the right conversion strategy, will lead to leads and deals as well.
And that's the perfect segue to the final bit we'll talk about before we're sort of pretty much over time, but we'll extend this for a few more minutes with the perfect segue with the difference between LinkedIn training and social selling training. There are lots of amazing LinkedIn trainers out there that can teach you how to build a personal brand, create good content, grow your followers. But where the social selling aspect really comes into it is in the DM, the LinkedIn messaging game, where you are proactively starting conversations. And that is definitely where some of the quickest wins can be. You could literally come onto LinkedIn today, start sending some effective messages, and start having conversations instantly with prospects. And if you're lucky and effective in doing so, sometimes you can win meetings and eventually new opportunities very, very quickly. And that's, for me, where I think that sort of transition from LinkedIn training goes into social selling training. I would love to know some of your thoughts on that as well, Richard.
No, I agree. I think I'm very clear. Even when I'm on stage at big events, I really explain to people, if people tell you, optimize your profile with your customer in mind and put out content in a consistent way, leads will come, it's a myth. It's not true.
Yeah.
Because our clients will only take one step at a time. Okay. So if you put out right content, they start to follow you. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's very rare. I've almost never seen it that a client sees your first post, follows you, sends you an invite to connect, follows up with a follow-up message, say, hey, when do you have time? Because we want to book a meeting. It's not happening. They take one step at a time. And if you don't react to those steps, it will take them a lot of time to convert. They will see like months of your post. But if you have the right conversion strategy, if you know how to start conversations, if you know how to build trust, if you know how to position yourself as the expert that can help them overcome these challenges and needs, then you accelerate the process, and that's where like LinkedIn becomes a very powerful tool. And it's not outreach; it's just what I call it's your conversion strategy. They have taken the first step. You just need to help them take the second and third step, which eventually leads to booking a meeting with you. And I think that's also, like you already mentioned, a big difference between LinkedIn training, optimize your profile, have a content strategy, go, and social selling training, where you look at, okay, what are the different engagement signals that clients give you? How can you follow up? But I think the most essential part that I try to teach my clients is how to build trust. Because if people accept your connection request, or if they like a post, or if they follow you, you haven't built trust yet. It's the first step, okay? But you need to gain their trust and confidence. And that's like that should be done in the DMs. That should be done with like helping them, guiding them through the process. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Again,
trust is the big word, and let's use that word to sort of finish off what has been an incredible episode. In that, yes, for people to buy from you, they have to trust you. For them to trust you, you have to genuinely build credibility, and that does take time. That does take nurturing, and it is the big difference between being effective on LinkedIn, building a personal brand where people might like you, to then becoming an effective social seller where you're building that credibility and trust, where you are going to get people to not just buy from you, but to buy from you repeatedly, to refer you, and to build that sort of consistent engine. Richard, honestly, this has been a phenomenal episode, and I mean, we could talk for hours and hours and
hours.
I think we already talked a bit before the episode. I think there's going to be a lot of collaboration opportunities. We're both very much passionate about helping people with social selling. So do make sure you're following Richard on LinkedIn, and make sure you check out every year the algorithm report comes in. And Richard, honestly, every single one of your posts delivers incredible value in terms of what's working on LinkedIn, social selling strategy, sales navigator strategy. So please, everyone, make sure you're following Richard. Richard, thank you so much for carving some time in your very busy schedule to give us some incredible insights today. I would love to have you back on in a future episode, and I look forward to hopefully doing some more stuff with you soon.
Well, let's make that happen. And what you said about me also goes for yourself. So if my people, my followers see this, I can't imagine they haven't heard from Daniel Disney, but if they don't follow you or like whatever, just check out the post, check out Daniel. And Daniel, let's make it happen very soon.
I love it. I love it. So much love between us, Richard. I really admire everything you do. So to everyone who's listened or watched this episode, thank you very much. Again, make sure you go and check out Richard, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode very soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye.